What is going on, everyone? Welcome to another live stream. I am excited to get into this week's live stream because I have a very special guest, my good friend Kyle Robbins. He is a copywriting expert, he's a sales expert, marketing. He is my go-to guy when I want to sell anything with words and when I really want to get really in depth with things like sales funnels and selling any types of services. Kyle's done that with his business, Maximum Floats, which he recently exited, or I guess sold his portion of the business to his partner, and we can get into all that stuff. But he's awesome, really great guy. I am going to bring him on here. Kyle, what is going on, man?
Yo, what's up, Mike Black? How you doing, man?
Doing good. I was interviewing you in my living room for the other podcast we had. I feel like that was like 2 years ago.
Yeah, I think that was 2 years ago now. That's crazy.
It's really nuts. When you and Alex were doing Maximum Floats. Well, I'm really excited to have you on, Kyle. Looks like, give me 1 second here. It looks like StreamYard. So for everyone watching, StreamYard is what we use for our live streaming. And they said that they're having technical difficulties with Facebook integrations. And I just got a thing pop up says that it lost access and it wants me to reconnect. So let's see if we can reconnect it. So we might have dropped on Facebook. Okay, it says it's reconnected. So if you are joining from Facebook, make sure to just go over to YouTube because it looks like we're having some issues. And if you're watching the live stream right now, there's going to be a really good one with Kyle here. Make sure to share this, guys. Hit the share button. Share it on Facebook, YouTube, whatever, wherever you're watching. All right, so Kyle, I was talking about how you are I have a handful of people that are like my go-to guys for things, and you're at the top of my list when it comes to copywriting, and you're probably, there's like really two people I hit up when it comes to marketing, and you're one of them. So I'm really excited to get into that. So let's just start there. Why don't you just give maybe people like the quick minute elevator pitch of what you do and your experience with copywriting?
Yeah, awesome. So let me just throw back to where I got started. When I was in university, I was studying engineering, but I knew that I didn't want to have a job for the rest of my life. So I started reading up on marketing and advertising, and I saw my boy Ty Lopez on a YouTube video, and he was interrupting one of my podcasts or something that I was watching. And he said, "Hey, if you can get 8 people to pay you $1,000 a month to run your advertising, you'll have a 6-figure income." And that singular statement was so compelling that I immediately just went to the website, purchased it, and that got me started on my journey of learning about social media advertising, but most importantly, learning about how to create offers that sell and then how to actually build a business. After that, I spent 4.5 years pretty much traveling the world with one of my best friends and business partners, Alex Greco, and we built a business that does about $350,000 a year, $350,000 a year, helping the flotation therapy niche with their advertising and getting people to come in to their float center. And if you know anything about flotation therapy, it's essentially a place where people can go. They lay in salt water. There's 1,000 pounds of Epsom salt, and you just lay there naked for about an hour. And a lot of people are afraid to do it. It doesn't have like a great value proposition.
It's really cool. I've done it. I think you're the one that convinced me to do it.
Mm-hmm. So it's an awesome thing to do, and to the general public, they view it as, I could just meditate for 10 minutes. I could just go for a walk, or I could just get some extra sleep, and that would provide me some of the same stress relief benefits. So the cool thing about that, and why I even share this, is that we were able to sell over $1 million in products and services to this one specific niche working there because we were able to create offers that were compelling enough for their clientele to actually come in. And when you're working with a product and service that's kind of obscure, that other people don't know about, that doesn't offer a lot of value to most people when they're thinking about it, you have to get really creative with offer generation. And so me and my partner went and invested over $200,000 in coaches, in books, in courses, in masterminds. And that's really where I learned how to create offers that sell, how to write copy that sells. how to penetrate your niche and become a lead industry leader in that space. And right now, I recently left Maximum Floats because I was ready to pursue something a lot bigger than just a niche opportunity that was never really going to break the 7-figure mark. And ultimately, right now, I'm just looking at helping different business-to-business organizations. And I'm going to be purchasing a business this year where I can come in and just be the growth engine to their marketing. So that's where I'm at. That's a little bit of who I am and what I do.
Yeah, it's super cool. What I think is really interesting, and I've always used to I've talked to you about this, is just like the flow industry is so small. And
Yeah.
like you said, like you're selling an offer that's like kind of hard to sell. I've always been like, man, I can't wait to see when Kyle gets out of the float industry.
Yeah, to put things in perspective, we actually worked with 150 out of the 600 float centers in North America. So if you think about that, it's 25% of the entire industry has worked with us. And if you did that in any other industry, it would just be like, how is that even possible? But yeah, we definitely know how to work with niches, but I just didn't see us really having the opportunities that I was looking for as an entrepreneur by staying in that space.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting that you're talking about Ty Lopez, which Ty Lopez is like a kind of scummy when it comes to like how he markets, but he's really good if you pay attention to what he's doing and why he's doing it. I'm not a fan of that like sliminess. But
the fancy cars and the hot girls, you don't like that?
Well, he's not about that. He does that because he knows what he's trying to attract. And but what's interesting though is he really is incredible at marketing, and that phrase is what sold you, which is like 8 clients, $1,000 a month, 6-figure income. I think that's pretty cool. So he is one of the best marketers in the world, whether you like him or not. I'm more on the leaning towards not as much, but like also again, if you really look into what he's doing, he's really good. It like draws that moral line, in my opinion. But so with Maximum Floats, you guys were crushing, and then you decided, hey, I don't want to do this anymore. I know you're doing a lot of things with copywriting right now, and like I said, you're one of the best copywriters in it. So I want to talk a little bit about that. For anyone that's watching, I guess first off, why is copywriting important? And the follow-up question I was going to ask to that is, how can anyone get started with getting good at copy? Like, is there anything that like I can do right now as someone that's not the best copywriter in the world to start getting better at copywriting?
Yeah. Okay. So first, you got to repeat the first question.
I don't even remember the first question, so let's just go with the second question.
Yeah. So how could you get started in copywriting if this is something that you're thinking about? Oh, it was like, why is copywriting such a valuable skill? I think was the first question. So I think copywriting it's one of the most important skills inside of marketing and advertising because you're able to duplicate yourself. And what I mean by that is when you are going out and you're doing like door-to-door sales or any type of one-to-one selling, it's just you and the prospect, and you're convincing them, you're working based off of their language, and you're ultimately trying to get them to do something that would be in their best interest. That's what sales is about, but it's all one-to-one. Whereas with copywriting, you can take salesmanship, the same words that you were going to tell to a prospect, and you can duplicate it across the internet and get it a million times stronger, right? So copywriting just gives you leverage, which is really, really, really awesome. I'm trying to think of like the first time that copywriting just like really took off. I think I can.
Well, I know Dan Kennedy's like the one who like really got a lot of people into copywriting, right?
Yeah, Dan Kennedy's the OG. I've read pretty much everything by Dan Kennedy, and I think so the first time that I was like, I kind of realized the power of online marketing and copywriting and everything like this is Alex and I had just done our first year in business. We'd done about $100,000 in revenue that first year, just as like Ty Lopez had, said we were going to be able to do. And we decided, hey, this would be cool if we could show some other people how to get started with social media marketing. And so we wrote some copy and put out an ad, for people to come to an event. And I think we spent like $80 on the ad and generated $3,000 in revenue at that event. And that was just like, oh my gosh, this isn't crazy. Like, this is absolutely incredible. We were able to turn like $1 into, can't even do the math, $30 on that. And I was like, if you can have a machine where you can just print money all day long, then you will never have to worry about money again, right? If you can just craft an offer, put it in front of people, then you'll never have to worry about money again. My girlfriend is just starting to get into sex coaching right now. She knows like very little about copywriting or anything like that, but she just put out her first little post inside of a Facebook group, just a regular Facebook group that anybody can join. Didn't cost her anything. She just used words, and that day she got 25 people DMing her asking to hop on essentially a free coaching session where then she's going to be able to pitch her services. And the only reason she was able to do that is because she wrote copy that was compelling. And I think like if you step one step back and you go, okay, well, how can I get started in copywriting the fastest way possible? And it's not, it really isn't spending all this time like reading books, and like that can be helpful. Honestly, I spent way too much time reading books. If I look back at like the past 5 years, I spent a majority of my time learning, reading books, when I should have spent more time just like taking action and writing. And so I'm doing a lot more of that now and less reading books. But I think in the beginning, that's where you have to start.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, my girlfriend was able to get such a good result because she had a great offer. It's not like her copy was so compelling. Her offer was just really good and it resonated with the marketplace. So for her, she helps women release their shame around sex and get the intimacy that they want with their boyfriend. And that is a big problem that a lot of women experience. And so she just said, hey, if you have this problem, I'm willing to offer you an hour and a half with me entirely for free. All you have to do is reach out, and there's 5 spots available. So she didn't really need to have this crazy copy or anything to sell this product. And it goes back to like Ty Lopez too. He had a great offer. It was, I'm going to show you how to get 8 people to pay you $1,000 a month. He didn't really need to have this crazy long sales letter. Like literally within the first 15 seconds, I heard his message, clicked it, and then just purchased it immediately because it was so compelling. So I think that before you want to think about, oh, how do I become a great copywriter? The most important thing is, how do I create an offer that is ultra compelling? And when you're first starting out, either something entirely for free or with a huge guarantee or a huge risk reversal is one of the best ways to get your offer out there. If you're like, well, I want to help rich people detail their cars, and I want to be able to charge like $1,000 per car to be able to detail them, but you have no experience, you have no testimonials or anything like that. Well, the first thing I would do is like find where the rich people hang out and then present them an offer. You don't need this like crazy copy, but you can have literally like a 1-sentence offer that says, hey, I'm gonna detail your car, and if you're not happy with it, I'll give you $10,000 back for wasting your time.
I love that.
Ridiculous.
I love that. Oh man. You know what? That's so interesting because I've been getting really into cold emailing.
Mm-hmm.
And there's someone that I really like. And they pretty much say the same exact thing, is like with your cold emailing, if you do like a guarantee like that, where like you say like, hey, look, if we do a terrible job, we're going to give you $1,000. That's a great way to get clients. And I was like, wow, like personally, I was always like, get a couple clients, work for free to get, if you really want testimonials really quickly and in the social proof. But that's even better way, because then it's like, okay, put your money where your mouth is. If you think you're such a hot shot and you can provide the goods, then there you go. So that I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah. So it's just like if you have a shitty offer, or excuse the language, if you have a bad offer,
You'd say shitty offer, you're good.
It doesn't matter how good your copywriting is if your offer sucks. Like literally no amount of great copy is going to sell a crappy thing. And Alex Ramosi talks about this too with sales. He's like, the trick to sales is not being a great salesperson. Like, yeah, being a great salesperson will give you the extra lift in conversions. But at the end of the day, like you need to have an offer that in and of itself is ultra compelling, and people go, you know what, that's crazy. Like Apple Music, for $5 a month or $10 a month, you can listen to any song on the planet. Spotify, like those are really, really compelling offers. Netflix, watch any movie that we have available as many times as you want for $10 a month. Like it's a great offer.
That's super interesting because like my other buddy, you and my other buddy are my go-tos. Literally the same thing is like what matters the most is the offer and then also your product and or service. Like if you have a good offer and a good product or service, then you don't have to necessarily be the best salesperson in the world, but it definitely helps.
Mm-hmm.
So that's super, super interesting. And that's something that I've been thinking about a lot. Like been spending tons of time figuring out how do I make the most incredible offer I possibly can. And I think that's really like, if you're listening right now, listen up. And it's so important. Like, I think it's worth spending even 2 to 4 weeks just like really figuring out what that offer is. Now, I'm not saying like not moving forward. I'm saying like really spend the time to figure that out because if you can make a significant amount of more money with your business. It makes things a lot easier for you. I think you should always be thinking about that. Like, how do you make the offer as incredible as possible? Because it becomes so much easier to sell. I could email or run Facebook ads and get in front of 100,000 people. And if you increase your conversion rates by 2 to 3% by having a really good offer, I'm using that on 100,000. That's a lot. It can totally change your business.
Yeah. And another thing that I see so many people kind of making a mistake on this is I had a buddy the other day. I saw him pop up on my news feed. It was a friend I had from university, and he's a great, great filmmaker. And he's been able to land some pretty awesome gigs where, you know, he'll get paid $20,000 to do a brand commercial for a company, and he's done a really good job. And so just now he started putting out a course on like how to start doing this yourself. And he started with this free challenge, and he just basically tried to automate everything from the start, right? He was just like, okay, I don't ever want to hop on the phone. I'm just going to like put this out there and we're just going to run with this. And he built this whole system. And then he kind of called me a week later and was just like, yeah, I'm kind of disappointed. I'm not really seeing the number of people that I wanted to join, and it's just not going as well as I had wanted. And I think that so many people skip to the step of like automation, where they're like, oh, I just want everything to be perfect. And there's a great mentor that I have. If you're selling like business to business services through phone calls or anything like that, or you're selling anything over the $300 mark, or it's a course, something like that, even if it's under $99, like it's really beneficial if you're selling information or if you're selling services. Like, it's okay in the beginning if you're hopping on the phone, you're recording calls, and you're listening to live feedback from the market, because that is going to be your best source to systematize things in the future.
100%.
Like, you have to just get the one-on-one feedback, and you have to call someone, and you have to go, hey, what, how does this sound? And don't just like ask your friends.
You gotta get obsessed with your customers. Like, you really have to understand their pain points, how you can best serve them. That's why I hate using like examples like this, but that's why Amazon did so freaking well. Like, do you know how many companies are probably trying to make Amazon? You just don't know their names because Amazon crushed everyone. Because Jeff Bezos was obsessed with the customer. Obsessed. You gotta become obsessed. And if you're not talking to customers, you're not obsessed enough, and you're not getting the feedback that you need to make, in his case, his course better. If it's a service, your service better. So you gotta get obsessed. You gotta get on the phone.
Get on the phones. Get on the phones and pitch to
Customer
people.
discovery 101.
Talk to your customers. Don't talk to your friends, because sometimes there's this desire to like just talk to friends and family and go, oh, like, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? It's like, no, actually hop on the phone with someone who could purchase your product or service and make them an offer, and then get their feedback and ask them. If they don't buy, ask them, hey, what could have been changed so this would be more compelling for you that you would want to sign up.
I can't tell you how many people I tell to do this and they just don't take the advice. There's someone I'm working with right now, and I was like, you need to call your customers and not email them, not send out a survey. Survey is quantitative. It's not as qualitative. And if you're asking qualitative questions on a survey, you're not getting good data because you can't ask follow-up questions. And people don't want to do it. For all you listening, why don't you want to do it? Put in the work. Like, it is so important to do these things, and it'll make your business significantly better if If you just take the time to call your customers, if you're selling product, call your customers, ask them what they think about the product, ask the right questions. That's important too. A lot of people don't ask the right questions, or they're just scared to hear the feedback, or they're just scared to just pick up the phone. For some reason, I don't know why people are so scared of that. Chase says if you're scared to pick up the phone, you shouldn't start your own business. I agree. I mean, unless you're selling on Amazon, I guess. By the way, Kyle, we've had like 3 people comment so far and like, I need your services, Kyle. You've told me some pretty cool things. Like the since you've been starting to focus a little bit more on copywriting, you said that you had a client that like I forget exactly the results, but the one that you just started working with.
Yeah, so I've got a client that we just finished up working together, but they essentially, their business is already doing around $85,000 a month. They've got a full team, great product delivery, amazing testimonials. And I first talked to him and he was like, yeah, man, I'm kind of bored right now. I think you've been in a position like this with your business too, where things are just kind of boring. Like money's just coming in, your team is handling things, and you're just a little bit bored. And he's like, I'm very open to be growing right now. Like we're getting probably 5 calls a week from just like organic methods, and we've spent $50,000 on ads, and we've never got enough people to actually like make it worth the advertising. And then so we put together a funnel, and we made it really simple. I mean, I wrote the copy for him. We put together the funnel together. I showed him how to do it, but ultimately I said, look, you don't need to have this crazy like case study funnel. You don't need to have this crazy webinar. You don't need to complicate this. You can have a single ad that calls out the attention of your marketplace. They're in the property management space. So basically, hey, property managers, how would you like to grow your business without paying for ads? What's some sort of hook that you can grab their attention and then make them a clear offer? Like this is one of the fastest ways to get results with advertising. Because
what were the results you got?
So I mean, he's spending around $300 a day, but in his first week, he generated 100 calls. So if you think about 5 calls a week, that's 20 calls a month. That's 5 months worth of calls in 7 days.
Pretty crazy.
So like if you think about doing that for your business, it's just like now all of a sudden acquisition is not the bottleneck in your business. Now it's like, how do I actually fulfill
it? Yeah.
Which
everyone's like probably goes like, oh my God, I would love to have that problem. And then if you actually have that problem, you realize you're like, wow, that's sometimes it's a fun problem to have, but for other people, it's not the most fun problem to have.
Yeah. So
it's a good problem to have though.
I guess I'd say that's where my specialty is right now. And those are the people that I'm looking for. If anybody's listening, is somebody who they've already got good fulfillment. They already have customers. Acquisition is their biggest bottleneck. I can make acquisition not be the bottleneck anymore. It'll be fulfillment. Well, so then after we're done working together.
In that case, so like the most important things that you changed for this guy were the offer, you made the messaging more clear. Is there anything else that you had done?
Yeah, so all we did is I said, look, let's not try and systematize things and make everything perfect. It's going to be an ad, and it's going to be a schedule a call. And the reason that people are going to schedule a call is because you're going to have a very clear promise and result. So what his clear promise and result is, add 20 doors to your property management business in 60 days, or we'll coach you and work with you for free.
So those are the clear, the terms, promise and result. So if you're listening, you're going to run ads or you're going to do any type of offer, you're going to make a promise and a result. And then it also sounds like a guarantee you're about to just say.
Yeah, I really like guarantees too. And you could do, if you're in the coaching business, we'll coach you for free. If you're in the done for you business, we'll work for free. If you're in any business, we'll give you a refund. We'll give you a refund plus $1,000. We'll give you a refund plus X, Y, and Z. There's a million different ways you can package it.
So let's do this live right now. So let's just make this super easy. So like right now I'm doing a lot of I'm doing content for people. Let's just make it really easy though and say like TikTok. So if we were to create ads, it would be like, the promise would be like, we're going to get you 1,000 followers in the next 6 weeks. And you're going to be able to do this all by yourself and like understand TikTok. what's the difference between the promise and the result? Because like it sounds like the promise and the result are like the same thing, right?
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Okay. I just want to make sure. Okay. So the promise and result is you're going to be able to run your own TikTok, and within the first 6 weeks, you're going to get at least your first 1,000 followers as long as you do what we tell you. And the guarantee would be like, if you follow what we're telling you and you don't, then you don't pay a dime.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Or we give you your money back. You don't pay a dime. We'll keep coaching you for free. I like with service businesses, you also want to think about your own business, right? And especially if you're just getting started, like refunds are like, that's the most compelling, right? If you can just give someone a refund back, or they can start for free or something like that. Those are really compelling offers, and you get more people to show, more people to actually like say, yes, I'm going to rock with you. But it can also hurt your business, right? If you sign 30 people up and, you don't get any of them 1,000 followers, well, that's going to suck. So I like to, have a conditional guarantee where it's like, hey, this is the guarantee. And in order to get 1,000 followers in 6 weeks, you have to post once a day for 42 days.
100%.
And if you don't do that, then like you don't qualify for the guarantee.
Yeah, I don't know if I made that clear or not, but yeah, that's what I was thinking. I would never do a guarantee without making it conditional, because then that's not on you. There's a lot of people that I'm in training, and some people just don't put in the work. And like if you're not going to put the work in, then you have to have a condition for that, where it's like you said, like you need to post every day, you need to go through all the content, you need to make this many calls, whatever it is.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I like that a lot. I love it.
Yeah. So for your offer, it'd probably be like, get 1,000 TikTok followers in 60 days and master how to post on the platform. Or we'll coach you for free. And if you don't, your money back.
So anyone that's watching right now, and I want to get into a lot of other stuff too. This might be my last copywriting question. Where would you suggest I start if I want to get really good at copywriting? And I'm like, you know what? I want to start selling shit with words.
Mm-hmm.
I might run Facebook ads. I might just make my website. I'm always writing copy on things like websites. Where would I start if I want to get good at this?
I think best place to get good at it is, every time an ad shows up on your newsfeed, instead of skipping it, watch it and try and understand what are they doing and break down the framework. Because every ad is, whether or not they're using a framework, like they're literally like, oh, I'm going to use attention, interest, desire, action. I'm going to use problem, agitate, solution. Like they don't necessarily have to be an expert copywriter, but it just means that every ad follows some sort of framework. And so breaking that down, okay, what did this person do when they wrote this ad? Whether it's a video ad, whether it's an ad you see on Facebook or Instagram, and just break it down. And you'll see a lot of Facebook ads are pretty much attention. It grabs the attention of the market. Says like, hey, homeowners, hey, property managers, hey, digital marketers, hey, career people, and then there's some sort of hook where it's like diving a little bit deeper into what the specific problem is. Hey, digital marketers stuck at under 10K a month. It's like all of a sudden that's, oh my gosh, this applies to me. Or this, hey, digital marketers, are you, wanting to hit $100,000 months? Like, absolutely. Well, here's the 3 things that you need to know to be able to get there.
It's funny. I always pay attention to ads, and I just got hit with one. I literally laughed at it. It was that fucker from Snow, the teeth whitening product. And he's like, hey, e-commerce businesses, do you if if you're a business that doesn't have $5 million in the bank, listen up. Like everyone's just sitting around with $5 million in the bank. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this is probably working. I just started dying laughing when I read it. But that guy has some credibility in the e-com space. I guess he can say like absurd things like that.
Totally. Yeah. So just, don't skip ads, watch ads, break them down, and then start actually putting out offers, not like writing them and not actually putting them out there, but start putting out offers. And if you don't feel comfortable yet, like posting in Facebook group, like Facebook groups are a great place to test copy. I know you've had a lot of success with like just getting different offers. I'm writing an offer right now to get a roommate because we had an office in our apartment, but I'm realizing I'm just not productive. And I'm like, you know what? let me just slash my monthly expenses. I want to put that into the bank account. Let's put that money to work. There's no reason to have this extra room here. And I'd actually rather have a reason to get out of the house, so I'm just more productive and I can work outside of the house.
I cannot agree with that enough. And I actually want to talk about that in a second, in depth.
Okay.
Before that, there's one thing you said earlier, and I just don't want to like forget to talk about it.
Sure.
Was like, I know how much you've spent on coaching and like have invested in yourself, which like I hate when people say you need to save money, you need to invest money in whatever the fuck you need to invest it in. I totally disagree. I think when you're young, you should invest any fucking money in stocks or Bitcoin or any of that shit. I think you should invest all of it into yourself and figuring out how you can exponentially grow by investing in things like coaching. And I know you've done that a lot. So I'm curious, how much have you spent on, like, do you know off the top of your head how much money you've spent in like coaching and mentoring? Because I think you've spent more than anyone else that I personally know.
Yeah. I mean, Alex and I always made decisions together, with the exception of I spent $20,000 on dating coaching personally when I was in my 20s, or well, I guess I'm still in my 20s, but when I turned 20. And so I would say me personally over $100,000 in the past.
Holy shit. I didn't know it was that much. I thought you were going to say like 30 grand or something.
No, at least over, because pretty much every year we've been in some sort of mastermind that's around 30K. We've always purchased, programs between $2,000 to $5,000 price points. We've paid for one-on-one coaching for like, $5,000. We've done like a $10,000 day worth of coaching. So a lot of money.
Well, I'm selling coaching right now. It's only $25,000, Kyle, if you want to sign up today. If I don't double your business overnight, I will give you your money back within 60 days.
Yeah, no, it's kind of crazy. The coaching industry is interesting. I think it's really important that you're investing in yourself, and when you put money down, it like forces you to be more committed to it. And it's interesting because in the entrepreneurial community, you kind of have to do that. Whereas if you're working for some big organization, you get your coaching and your mentorship from other people inside of the organization, right? Like if you're working at like a Fortune 500 company, there's other people in that organization way above you that they have like gone through a lot of personal development, and those are people that you look for. But as an entrepreneur, you're kind of on this lonely journey where you're building your own thing. Your employees can't relate to your experience. You have your own entrepreneur friends, and there's a lot of people that you're going to know that are on your same level, that are a little bit below you, that are a little bit above you. But the cool thing that coaching does is it allows you to reach up into a very specific niche or skill set, whether it's like dating, copywriting, biohacking, company cadences and communication, marketing, advertising, operations, and just pay money to get access to someone who's really, really, really good.
Yeah. So someone asked, is a tax expert, which I am a tax expert, if you're listening. You can write all that off. That's all write off. If you're investing in yourself in any type of coaching, you always write that off because that's a business expense. Just as if you train your employees and pay for coaching for them, that's also a business expense, which is a write off. So I guess, Kyle, my biggest question is, what I'm curious is, what was the best coaching investment you made, and what was the worst coaching investment that you've made?
Best coaching investment was working with, well, it really depends. I actually think the best coaching investment I've made in my life was actually working with the dating coach. Just that gave me so much certainty in who I am as a person, and really showed me like a lot of the assets that I have, and helped create clarity in my own life of like the type of partner that I want. And I think that's a really important like piece of life that a lot of people just like shuffle away. They get a girlfriend and they're like, okay, that part's handled. I'm just gonna like do the rest of things. So even though I've learned so much from like incredible mentors that are great business leaders, I would say like investing into dating coaching was like the highest ROI, not even from a financial aspect, but just like from quality of life
aspect.
Yeah, like life aspect. I truly think that after that, I created certainty in myself that, whatever I want, I can have it. And that that just created a confidence that has definitely like spewed over into business.
I think that's super interesting because that's what I was going to say. Like, that's based off what you're saying. That's not just a dating relationship thing. That's also like a life thing. Like, I know a lot. It's crazy. After starting this project, I did not realize how many people were so held back by a lack of confidence. I'm not talking about dating. I'm talking about like, I don't think I can start a business. I suck. I can't do this. And like, it's so crazy. It's so fucking crazy. Like, the people I know that are successful in business or that have built a business that makes millions of dollars in revenue, they're not smarter than a lot of my friends who don't run businesses. They're just very confident in themselves and they take the risks that are smart, and they have learned a lot from doing that by having the confidence. So if anyone's listening, like, you just gotta have confidence. Who's the coach that you hired that you said was like the best investment that you've made?
Yeah, he doesn't coach anymore, and I know you're not necessarily a fan of him, and I don't agree with a lot of his necessarily principles either. It was just I think a lot of the experience of going out, talking to strangers consistently, and creating like a lot of micro wins was something that was really beneficial to me. And I think that when you talk about confidence, it doesn't come from sitting down, looking in the mirror and saying, I'm confident, I'm confident, I'm confident. It's actually like hundreds or thousands of iterations of, in the dating example, all right, I'm going to go talk to a stranger and I'm just going to say hello. And in the sales example or marketing or business, it's like, yeah, if you don't feel confident with sales or talking to people or doing interviews, I don't do a lot of interviews. I'm developing confidence in interviews right now. I've only done, I don't know, like 5 or 10 in my lifetime. If I went and do 100 of these, I'll feel extraordinarily comfortable and I can be like 100% myself, right? If you go talk to 1,000 girls, it would be unrealistic for you to still feel nervous about that. It's like flipping on the light switch. You're just like, oh, okay, this is just a part of my life. And same with sales calls. It's like if you go take 1,000 sales calls or reach out to 1,000 people, pretty soon, yeah, you might still feel that fear. Like someone made that comment, if you're scared to hop on the phone, you shouldn't be in business. I disagree. I think that you can totally be scared and be afraid, but it's the difference between actually taking action, even though you feel uncomfortable about it and you go, I'm scared of this and this is horrifying. Like there's so many things that I do on a daily basis where I can feel my stomach, getting a knot. I've got anxiety. I'm a little bit worried about it. But when you take action, that's where confidence is built, is when you feel anxious and you say, fuck my feelings. I'm going to do it anyways. And that's how you create confidence over like any skill set over a long period of time. And it's unrealistic to think that, oh, well, I want to be confident in marketing and I just want to be confident from day one. It's like, that's not going to happen. Like you need to go run 1,000 ads.
Yeah.
Go run 1,000 ads. And
I agree 100%. Where I disagree though, is I'm like the total opposite. I have like literally the opposite problem. And this has been like hard for me to understand because my problem is I am so overconfident on things. And I've always been this way. And I think it's because of just how I was raised. Like I don't give a shit about, I don't know, like other people's opinions. And I understand like the entrepreneurial landscape of like how hard it is and like how things like luck can sometimes play into things, but the luck's usually created by a lot of hard work. And like, if you told me tomorrow to run ads, I'd probably be like, yeah, I'm fucking awesome at ads after I did it for like a day or two. But I'm also realistic. I'd be like, yeah, there's so much that goes into this. And I'm logical where I'd go, I don't think I'll ever be good at ads. And I don't want to do that because my brain doesn't do that well, I guess. But I do remember like earlier in my entrepreneurial career, the one thing that like I was like scared to do was like public speak. But after I did it a bunch of times, it was now I could get up in front of a room and start talking. It's like really, it's not that hard. I don't get as much anxiety. So I guess it sounds like you've figured out a lot of the confidence things that you were dealing with through coaching. Like, what's the best way to kind of break those things? Is it just repetition? is that like and I've heard this stuff a lot, like looking in the mirror and being like, I am good, I am good, I am good. Like does that shit actually work? Like what's the best way to become more confident and like believe in yourself and know that you can do it?
Yeah, I really think it's daily iterations and feeling comfortable. Like Alex Ramosi says this thing, you know, you're gonna suck in the beginning, and then eventually you'll suck so little you become good, and that's where confidence is bred. You know, you're not gonna be a confident. It's like I can think of the first time I was learning how to read when I was a kid. There was this book called Dick and Jane, and like the whole book was like Dick and Jane. Dick sees a dog, Jane sees a blah. And I remember that, you know, when I was first learning how to read, I loved this book because it was challenging. I didn't know how to read in the beginning, and at first, like it took me, you know, 3 hours to voice out all the syllables in the book, and then eventually, like I could crank through the whole thing in 5 minutes, and it was like this incredible thing. And all of a sudden, like I just, you know, accomplished something absolutely amazing. And it's just like reading this little book, but it was through a lot of iterations and repetition. And eventually I was like, okay, well, let me see if I can read a bigger book or a bigger book or a bigger book. And so confidence is not just, okay, like you're nobody today, and then tomorrow you run a campaign that makes you $1 million. That's not going to happen. And a lot of the case studies of examples that you see of somebody who they're like, oh my gosh, they built a business that went from 0 to $10 million in 6 months. Like 99.9% of those case studies are from like somebody like me or like Mike, who's been in business, had a lot of experiences over 10 or 20 years, and then they like do something new and like they apply all of that knowledge. It's a complete delusion to think that there's people that just out of thin air, based on no experiences in their entire life, they're just creating these things, you know, that are doing millions of dollars. It's just it came from daily iterations. And so I think the more things that you can create confidence in your life, like there's overall confidence, which is just like how confident you feel in your ability to solve a problem, and then there's situational confidence, right? So like right now, I'll be honest, my overall confidence has declined pretty significantly in the past couple of months because I got out of my morning routine. I don't have a coach right now. I'm figuring out exactly what the next business I want to do, and so a lot of the really positive like daily iterations of confidence building things have been on pause for the past couple of months, which is why I, you know, came to a WeWork to break that chain. But like if you wake up every single morning and you do a quick little workout, I'm not a huge fan of like working out every day. I like to do it, you know, 3 times a week, get a lift in. But I've worked out every single week since I was 15 years old. So it'd be unreasonable for me to not feel like pretty confident about my health.
You worked out through COVID. Actually, I always give people the example of that. I don't want to get too off topic, but I was a little bitch and didn't work out during COVID. I made a bunch of
Oh my
excuses. And
gosh.
then you and Alex both, I don't know if you guys realize this, but you guys both looked more like jacked than you did when we were just working out at Gold's Gym. Just doing like stuff outside at the calisthenics gym and not making excuses. Then I felt like such a freaking loser because I was like, oh, well, it's COVID. We can't work out. Got the COVID gut. And then I get back to Austin to work out with you guys, and you guys are in like great fucking shape. And I was like, what the hell have you guys been doing?
That's funny. Yeah, I was actually looking at videos.
Baby.
Yeah, that's it, dude. No excuses. So, yeah, I think there's things in your life where the more you can build those like daily stacks where it's like, I'm working out every week. I'm eating good food every day. I'm, you know, taking action on sales calls. I'm reaching out to new people. I'm hopping on interviews. I'm doing something that makes me feel uncomfortable. Pretty soon you do that for like, it doesn't happen in a day. It doesn't happen in a week. It doesn't happen in a month. It doesn't happen in a year. And the hard thing too is that it can go away pretty quickly. So like there's never a time in your life where it's just like, all right, you're set. Like there's never a time where you just work out and then like you're 30 years old, you're ripped, and you're like, you know what? I'm in peak shape and I'm set. I never have to work out again. Like this idea that you're ever going to get to this one state where you just like are, it's completely delusional. It doesn't happen with money, it doesn't happen with relationships, and it doesn't happen with fitness either. And so like confidence comes from daily progress every single day and going, you know what? Like and ignoring your feelings. And I've been definitely a little bitch the past 2 months. Like I've been, you know, if I'm with my girlfriend and I have, go ahead.
I don't mean to cut you off here, but I think I think it comes down to like also extreme accountability. And
Mm,
like you just said, like
mm,
a lot of people won't be like, yeah, I'm a little bitch. I do that all the time. Like, yeah, I didn't work out during COVID. I made excuses, little bitch. Like, I
totally.
think part of it too is like accountability, but like analyzing myself again, who I think I've always been overconfident, where to the point, even just over optimistic in my ability, where it's like a blessing and a curse. The more that I like think about the the confidence thing, it's like a frame of mind that like let's say right now, you and me, we're gonna both you have experience running ads, but we were both gonna run ads for the next 3 years. And we're gonna start different businesses right now.
Mm-hmm.
In my head, I'm gonna be better than you. And it's gonna take me
Mm,
like a year. Because and what'll happen is like after a year, if it's not going well, my mind's going, this is part of the learning process. Like I know that. So I think personally thinking about myself, I like really understand that like failure's okay as long like it's a long more of a long game for me and not like the present moment, I guess. So
mm,
like even with this project, like a lot of things didn't go right. My dad got sick, which threw a lot of things off. Like in my head though, I'm like, I have fucking 30, 40 more years. Like this is like honestly kind of meaningless. This say
totally.
1 year in your fucking 80-year life. So I think part of that is just like playing the long game, but like being committed to getting better. I think that builds a lot of confidence too, is just like knowing that you're gonna put the work in. I think part of that is like part of it's past experience, I feel like. Like I've never been like a bum that just sat on my ass and smoked weed all day. I've never done that. If I did that, maybe I'd be like, if that's who I was, then you have to figure out how do you break the chain? Because
Mm-hmm.
now you are a loser. You're just sitting on the couch, smoking weed, not doing anything.
Totally.
So
Yeah.
then part
Yeah.
of that, I guess it's past experience. And like you've worked out every day, you said since 15. Like I didn't know you when you were, and we've known each other for maybe like 3 years, but I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know you prior. But I assume that you've always been working hard towards bettering yourself. If you've
Totally.
just the fact that you've worked out every day since you're 15, I
Yeah.
can tell you weren't a bum that just sat on the couch and just rip bongs all the time. Um, so I guess the question is, you said you're in a cycle right now. I've gone through those situations where I'm in a cycle. The worst was during COVID. Um,
Mm,
the worst was during COVID, which give me 1 second here. The stream, this sucks because this is one of the best streams I think we've had, and StreamYard's having these issues. I think it's just with the Facebook group and LinkedIn. But which by the way, if you're watching this and you're enjoying this right now, make sure to hit the like and share this. Share this. I want more people to know about Kyle. He's the man. Share it Facebook and YouTube. Okay, so where I totally lost my train of thought on that one. So how do you break the chain though, or how if you're not going in the right direction, how do you fix that? And again, the worst time for me was during COVID, where I was
mm-hmm.
like, I really want to do something else. Like I need more stuff going on here, and then you kind of start feeling like a loser while you're figuring those things out because you're like, fuck, I'm not moving forward. I don't have momentum.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I always think, how do I? And I'm just going to talk about myself, and I'd love to hear what you have to say because
Yeah.
I look at you as like a semi-expert on this stuff because you really like you're passionate about this.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I need to get more momentum, and that means for me daily routine. Like
Yep.
I'm actually going to up the notch on how often I go to the gym. I'm going to the gym 4 days a week. I'm going to up it to 5.
Nice.
I'm going to make the workouts a little bit longer. Meal prepping is really important for me for routine, and then just having times during the day where I do stuff. And I think setting goals is really important. So those are some things for me that I think will help with momentum. And by the way, guys, if you're watching and you're doing the same shit over and over again and not getting the results you want, don't keep doing the same thing over and over again. Figure out, okay, how do I break the chain? But maybe like seek out people that do have a lot of momentum right now and ask them, what the hell are you doing? What are you doing to gain that momentum? Kyle got an office, which I think that's been hurting my momentum, to be quite frank. We didn't get on that topic yet, but like I can't work from home. I hate it a lot. I need to see people. I need to interact with people. I need to have a separate working space. I can work from home like 1 or 2 days a week, but this whole pandemic thing, it's been a nightmare. I hate it. So what do you think? How do you think if someone lacks confidence or they're not building forward, how do they start doing that?
Yeah. Well, so for me, because I recognize this, I'm like, yo, I am not in the space that I want to be in. And I think I was actually talking to my past business partner about this because he's kind of in a similar spot. I mean, he's doing a lot of good things right now too, but in terms of like his daily actions that we were taking, like we would wake up at 5 in the morning. If we weren't up at 5, someone was jumping in the pool. If we weren't up at 5, someone was paying the other person $50. Like we built in accountability mechanisms where it was like, if someone's not working, like there's a problem, like we're both very aware of like, if I'm not taking action, I know that Alex is taking action, so that doesn't make me feel good. So having a business partnership was, I'm not saying go get a business partner, but having an accountability mechanism is really important. And what I realized is my girlfriend is the opposite of an accountability mechanism, because your girlfriend just wants to love on you. They want to make you feel loved and cared about. And what gives us love and connection is not what gives us significance, which is like, I'm going to go, kill the bear. I'm going to go like make the $1 million. Like, maybe your girl, I think there's rare relationships where the girlfriend's going to go, hey, you know what? You need to get your ass to the gym. You know what? You need to go make more money. Most of the times they're going to go, oh, you're cute little dad bod. Like, that's really cute. You're fine. Just stay with me. It's okay. And so I think that relationships, depending on the ones that you're in, can make you a little bit more soft. And so what I just realized is I'm like, all right, well, she's not going to be a great accountability mechanism for me because we would rather just stay in bed and have sex all day. So I need to get to WeWork. I need to get to WeWork and be working. I need to hire another coach, and I need to, reach out to the people that are important to me. Like you're definitely one of my good friends that I can call and say, hey, this is what I'm struggling with. Can you help hold me accountable? I have another guy named GJ, and he's great with accountability. He talked to me on Sunday. He's like, yo, man, like, what are you doing? What are you doing tomorrow? I'm going to call you tomorrow. If you're not done with it by the end of the day, like I'm going to rip you a new one.
You know what we should do?
So,
We should make a small accountability group. There's this,
that'd be cool.
There's 2 services I know of where they text you every day as many times as you want. Not as many times as you want, but I think the max is like 3 times a day. And you tell them what your goals are, and then they check in to make sure for the day to make sure that you've achieved those things. And I was looking into the service. The one I heard from Sean Perry, he runs my personal favorite podcast, which is called My First Million, and he said it's been incredible. There's another one I've been looking at, and they literally text you every like 2 to 3 times a day.
Nice.
But my problem is, without doing that, I don't know if like that would be enough accountability for me. Like I'd rather have you, me, and like 2 other people get on like a fucking call every 2 days and zoom through it, and I can be like, Kyle, you're a piece of shit. Fucking stop making excuses. I feel like if you got on, you're like, Mike, you said you're gonna do this, you didn't. You're a bitch. I'd be like, fuck, man. I don't want to like Kyle to think I'm a little bitch. I gotta crush.
Yeah, you got to have an accountability or an environment, like whether it's just the environment for you. Like I literally am like, I don't want to spend time at my house because I know I'm not productive. So I told my girlfriend, I said, even if we get a roommate that lives here for free, it's going to be beneficial for me because I know that when other people are in the house, I don't want to be there as often. So it's like kind of a weird thing, but I'm like, I don't want to optimize for comfort right now. I'm not in my 40s with like 3 kids and a wife. Like I'm not trying to optimize for comfort. Like if you're in your 20s or 30s or even early 40s, it's like you need to be optimizing for creating wealth for your family. That's what I think anyways. So
yeah. Well, I guess let's talk about the roommate thing, because
cool.
we've been going back and forth on that. So right now you have a 2-bedroom place. You want to get a roommate. Let's talk about why you want to do that. Which, by the way, you've gotten a bunch of good comments on Instagram, couple on on YouTube and stuff. Lobo says, glad I made to the live stream.
Sweet.
You know what, guys? Kyle, do you have enough time to? How much time do you have?
I got like another 10 minutes here.
Okay. So guys, if you do have questions, feel free to drop them for Kyle and he'll get to them. Same with Instagram. Okay. So let's talk about it. Why'd you decide to get a roommate and what's the situation there?
Yep. So there's two ways you can create wealth, right? You can increase top line revenue, or you can decrease bottom line expenses. And so a lot of those expenses, if you have a business, you've got your business expenses, and then you also have your personal expenses. And so we're paying like 2,000 a month for rent, and I'm just like, what if I could pay $0 a month for rent? It's the difference between stacking an extra 30 or $50,000 at the end of the year and stacking nothing.
That's what I did with
Right.
the e-com house.
hmm So I love that idea that you had, and so I think we're gonna have two offers. We're either gonna say, hey, you can get the room, and it's just the room for like 1,200, which would massively decrease our cost of rent, or we're gonna create a more desirable option, which is gonna include food. It's gonna include basically cleaning, laundry, like stuff that Jackie is already doing, my girlfriend. That it wouldn't be a big deal to just like add that on, and that would be like $2,200, which would pay all of rent plus utilities, which would be an ideal situation.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, I'd say like the biggest benefit is that we have another person there that makes it kind of like we don't want to be there, because that will make us more money.
Wait, so you're trying to get someone? So how much? You just want like the worst person possible? Is it like
No, I don't want the
they
worst
are
person. I don't want the worst person possible, but I'm gonna get an entrepreneur in there that it's also like they're gonna see if I'm just chilling on the couch in my boxers not doing anything, they're gonna see that, and I'll have my own internal guilt of like, all right, I need to like go out, and I'm not saying you need to be productive all the time, but you're not creating quality life by sitting on the couch in your boxers. Like, it's quality when you go out and spend time with friends or you're working hard on something, but like just chilling on the couch all day is not a recipe for success.
It is not. It is not. That is correct.
So those two
So
things, drive down expenses, and also like create a place that is a little bit just forcing an environment that makes me want to work more. So that I can come home and I can be like, I like to have a little friendly competition. If he's an entrepreneur, I'm going to be like, all right, he's getting up at 6, I'm getting up at 5:30. I like that.
I like it. I like it. I'm not as I like competition, but like I'm not gonna be like, oh, Kyle wakes up at 5. I gotta wake up at 4:30. Like I'm gonna sleep till fucking 9 a.m.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
totally get what you're saying. So I guess the question, or what I want to talk about, is like you're trying to do that. I've been thinking a lot about like, I mean, this situation I'm in kind of sucks. Like I want to be home so I can be with my dad, but I also don't want to be home at all. I hate this area, especially like a suburb, because like I can't be around the people I want to be around, that are like doing cool shit.
Yep.
Whereas in Austin, it's just you can get a lot of those types of people. Unless I move to like Philly, which I'm considering, could do that, and then just like be back and forth. But you're the 5 people you are a factor of the 5 people that you hang around with. So we've been talking a little bit off camera because I know you're looking into doing something potentially similar to the ecom house, which originally the ecom house, the idea of that was like, 1, I wanted to pay rent, and 2, I'm gonna build this fucking awesome network of people. So I'm curious, like, it sounds like you're trying to do something similar.
Yeah. I've been talking to some buddies because they're interested in getting into real estate, and I know the thing that you've talked about, and it would make it even better. So instead of just renting a place and you get 4 guys in there, how cool would it be to actually buy a property? Your mortgage is less than what you would have paid in rent, and you work the same exact situation, except now you're building equity into a home, which is creating an asset for yourself. And since you're living in it, it's not like this crazy big like headache of dealing with renters. I mean, you're going to have your own problems working with like people in the same house, but it's in a different style, and you can do an application process, and you have a little bit more control. So I don't think it's something really that I would think about right now in terms of scaling, because I know I'd make more money just focusing on business stuff. But in terms of living rent free and building equity in a home and getting a network, like it just checks off a lot of boxes, which is really, really cool.
Yeah, I'd really want a couple places. Like I think it'd be really cool to have a couple places throughout like Austin, which Austin's my favorite city. My second favorite city is Miami. I think it'd be really cool to have a couple in Miami.
Yeah.
But like just thinking about like one with like a bunch of like really cool people, it'd be cool to live with like 5 entrepreneurs that are like really doing some cool shit.
Yeah.
When are you so right now you're living at that, when are you thinking about like potentially like looking at houses?
Well, we're already starting looking right now. I would say like I would love to actually make
Right
it
now is,
happen.
by the way, one of the worst times to be buying a house. Like
I know.
absolute worst time,
Yeah, and with
especially in
Austin
Austin.
though, but with Austin, I don't know, man. We might be seeing even more people moving in here in the next couple of years. We'll see.
Yeah, you got to find an off-market deal if you're going to buy in Austin right now. It's crazy the prices compared to now to post-pandemic. It's nuts. But if
Yeah,
you are doing that, let me know because I am very interested in going in. The financials just have to work, but we can talk
cool,
more off camera about that stuff because I really want to buy a property
cool.
because this rental worked really well. It's been awesome.
Yeah.
It sucks I personally couldn't live in it because it probably would have been way better. Um, all right, we have a question here. Someone asks, how do you establish short-term versus long-term goals for your business and establish habit/systems for accomplishing each? So
Mm,
I know how I do that. I'll let you take it though.
yeah. I think I just generally have habits that I know, okay, if I continue to keep this habit up, it's going to be beneficial for me in the long term. So, in terms of like the timeline for setting goals, I like to set goals at the beginning of the year, the beginning of each month, and then on a weekly basis, reviewing, okay, am I making progress toward my monthly goals? Am I making progress toward my weekly commitments on a daily basis, and then also quarterly? But in terms of habits, I think that it's just the things that are most important, having some sort of daily routine, whether it's a morning routine or you do it in the evening, but you got to have a daily routine where you write down the things that are most important for you to accomplish that day, and you look back at what happened either that day or the day before, and you have like this iteration cycle. So it's less important about what specifically are you doing and more about like, okay, what do I need to accomplish today, this week, this month? And just having feedback loops. Like any time in my life where I've not been on top of a feedback loop is where I like regress and I'm doing worse in my life. And every time I've been on top of a feedback loop where I have daily feedback, weekly feedback, monthly feedback, quarterly feedback, and annual feedback, that's where you just build a lot of certainty and confidence, and you're able to hit your goals a lot easier because you're on top of it. And you have to have like some sort of daily iteration. So I would just say like you got to figure out what's important to you and make sure you're hitting all aspects of your life. Like, don't just make business goals. You got a specific health goal, you can do that. I'm a big fan more of creating more like process goals. Obviously, there's some things that it's really important to say like, okay, I want to hit this number. Like, I want to bench 250 pounds. That's a goal you could do. But for me, I like more process goals of like, okay, if I'm working out 3 times a week, then I'm meeting my fitness goals. Like it's more about the input for me than it is for the output, because a lot of times we can't necessarily control the output. But if you're more like super goal orientated and you're like, oh well, I want to hit this, I want to hit that. In terms of business wise, I would also always make sure that you reverse engineer the math, because a lot of times you can be delusional about like, oh, I want to do $1 million a year, but you never actually did the math that in order to do that, this month you need to make 83 grand, or like by month 6 you need to be doing 200 grand a month. So don't just like set a goal that is delusional. Like you have to set a goal and then mathematically work backwards to understand how you would actually hit that to
Yeah,
make it all real.
I agree with that 100%. And what I do on December 30th is I set everything for the next year. Sometimes it's January 1st or 2nd. Doesn't really
Yeah.
matter that much, but for the next year. And I break down everything. Like you need to really think about this at a very high level first. You can't just
Mhm.
go like, okay, well, I'm going to make $1 million. Okay. Well, if I want to make $1 million, I need to do that. No, like you got to like think about your life and what's going to make you happy. Like, okay, I want to meet these types of people. Relationships. The 3 things or 4 things people say is health, wealth. One of them is like spiritual, which I don't include in the 3. It's health, wealth,
Relationship.
and relationships. Health, wealth, and relationships. So you got to think about those things. Like, what types of relationships do I want? Both like it could be like intimate, but also like who do I want in my network? Who do I want to
Yeah.
be friends with? What types of people do I want to network with? In terms of wealth, like there's a lot of ways you can go down that rabbit hole in terms of like, here's the things I want to be working on to like create wealth. Here's the things that I want to be doing. Again, people that I need to meet. And then health, you should put at the top of your list, in my opinion, and prioritize
Totally.
that. So then like I break all those things down, but I go a lot deeper in terms of like really like what do I want to learn this year and like really focus on what I want to get better at. Who do I really want to spend a lot of time with? And I think a lot of these things you can set up situationally if you're smart about it. So for example, if I really want to build $1 million business, $10 million business, why don't I spend, once a week or once every couple weeks talking to people that have built $10 million businesses? And you're probably like, oh, that's really hard. Actually, it's not. You just cold email them. They'll get on the phone with you. It's really not that hard. If you want to talk to $100 million business owners, that's a little harder. But you just have to put the time in and actually set things up situationally. So like, okay, well, instead of cold emailing people, maybe I start a podcast. Maybe I start a live stream every single week where I talk to people that do this specific thing. If I wanted to build relationships with investors, I'd probably start a live stream every week or a podcast where I interview investors. Now it's easy. Now you now you situationally made something easier for you. Okay, well, I want to go to the gym. Okay, so like situationally, what do you have to do? For me, I have to meal prep. Maybe you need an accountability buddy. Go find a fucking buddy to go to the gym with you, or hire an accountability coach. Whatever it is, but you got to think about these things, and then at a top level, go, okay, this is what I want to achieve this year. I like to think about like my life in general for like the next 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
I don't make goals for the 3 to 5 years, but I understand like what I want. And then I break it down to yearly, quarterly, monthly, kind of how you do. And then I analyze, did I hit these goals? Was I able to do it? Why not? And some things I'm able to hit, some things I'm not able to hit. And I just like, I remember the first, when I cleared $1 million for the first time, it was all written down. Everything was written down. And it was like step by step by step. That's how I got there. But I also think like they always say, like, if you write things down, you're more likely to hit your goals. I think that's true, but there's also like a lot more to that. That's like kind of makes it bullshit. It's like, well, if you're writing your goals down, you're probably working really fucking hard.
Absolutely.
You can't just write it down and then not do any work. If you're like putting it in Trello and actually analyzing it and like analyzing the ones you hit versus don't hit, you're probably like actually working pretty hard. So I think that's like pretty important. But that's what I use. I just do it all in Trello. But great question. Let's see here. Seeing if there's any ones that I missed here. You're welcome, Lobo. Hope that was helpful. Any more questions? Feel free to drop them. Kyle, I know that you said you got to get going. Is there anything else you want to talk about before we wrap up?
No, I just think that, for anyone who's getting started, being around other people who are doing what you want is really, really helpful to break some beliefs and then just get comfortable with taking action and respect yourself for where you're at. Like, just because somebody else is doing $100,000 a month or $20,000 a month and you don't even have your first deal yet, that's fine. Like, it doesn't matter. Just celebrate the inputs, celebrate the fact that you're reaching out to people, celebrate the fact that you're getting on the phone with people. Don't get too attached to the outcome. Obviously, you have to pay the bills and everything. But I think that there's a lot of anxiety built around like expecting to be where somebody else is at when you don't share the same life experiences as them or the same habits that they've developed over X number of years. So, just focus on yourself, focus on improving focus on improving yourself each year, each week, and don't really care about what other people are up to, because that really doesn't matter. I think that's like a big source of pain and anxiety for a lot of people. And that's why they can't get started.
That's a really great piece of advice. And I think also like enjoy eating shit and the suck. Like some of the most fun times I've ever had was working out of a basement with a bunch of dudes fucking coding through the night. And that business failed, and failure after failure. Like, you got to enjoy that shit. You got to enjoy the hard work and all of that and the entire journey, and not just look at the end game. Be like, oh my God, these people are so much better than me. They have 1 million followers. They have a $10 million business. My camera just died. That means we got to wrap up.
Okay.
But you gotta still put the things into perspective and like really realize that everything's okay. You just, wherever you're at, if you're at the earlier stages, time to get to work, have fun with it, enjoy it. Yep, battery just died here, so we're definitely wrapping up now. Kyle, how can people learn more about what you do and get a hold of you?
Best place is just add me as a friend on Facebook. That's usually where I'll be posting different things. If you want to shoot me a message, feel free to do that. It's just Kyle Robbins. It's a big picture of my face straight, on the profile pic. And just, shoot me a message on Facebook. Happy to help anyone who's interested in getting started. And if you have a business that's already doing $1 million a year, let's chat, because if acquisition is your problem, I can definitely help you out with that.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Kyle. Got the camera back. We popped the new battery in.
Sweet.
Thanks so much for joining, my man. Really appreciate it. I will answer anyone's questions. If you do have questions that didn't get answered, feel free to DM me on Instagram at Mike Black. Kyle, appreciate you coming on, my man. I will probably follow up with you about the house stuff and the accountability group that we're starting.
Okay. Sounds good, Mike. See you later.
Cool. See you, Kyle. All right, guys. Thanks for joining. If you like this podcast, make sure to share it and hit the like button. Appreciate you all. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.